Hey everyone, welcome back to CIR Live. We have Albert with TD Mortgage with us. He's one of the mobile mortgage specialists based out of their South office. He's been down there a little over 4 years, and we're going to kind of go through some questions with him about mortgage and, from their perspective, how the market's looking. So, hello, Albert. How's it going today?
Good. Thanks, Kevin, for having me. Welcome to CIR. I guess you're in the downtown office. I haven't made it down there very often, but hope to meet you face to face at some point. But yeah, I've been away from the CIR South office for some time due to what's going on in our world, but I'm happy to join you here today.
Well, thank you for joining us. So kind of start us off from a mortgage perspective, mortgage specialist perspective, how's the market overall?
Well, that's a great question. Last year, 2020, now that's behind us. It was a very, very busy year for TD and a lot of the mortgage specialists, not just in Calgary, I might add. It's been really a nationwide busy market for the mortgage business. People are looking at low interest rates and just looking at opportunities to get into the market based on those low rates.
Cool. Speaking of, what's happening in the world, how is TD handling government subsidies in regards to mortgage approvals and so forth?
Mm-hmm. As the pandemic last year had happened, there were some government grants or, CERB and the CEWS, a couple of those wage subsidy programs. I haven't personally seen many of those coming to me recently where they are still on those programs. If someone is still on a program, we would treat that no different than, someone who is not presently working. We likely would not be able to use their income. However, of course, with a joint applicant, perhaps they might qualify in their name and with the income that they have to support the application. It really becomes a case by case, because if you can appreciate somebody with a 50% down payment, but is presently interrupted with their income, we might find a way to put that deal together somehow. So it's a really difficult question to answer. And I guess the easy one is just to say it's case by case.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there any types of mortgages that are being utilized more at the moment?
Well, we're seeing lots of, at least I am seeing lots of clients looking for investment properties.
Okay.
There are lots of first-time buyers in that mix as well, but there are a lot of clients that are looking for a second home, perhaps in the mountains. That's been keeping me very busy, but also I'm seeing, as of late, just ramping up to the spring, I'm seeing a lot of first-time buyers coming out of the mix, and I think really you're ready to jump on, a home. They've probably been sitting back for a year now waiting. Well, now I think this is the year they're going to do it.
Cool. Are you seeing people refinancing at all, and what seems to be the reason for people refinancing these days?
Yeah, refinancing is always a part of the mortgage business. I'm seeing more refinancing, people taking equity of their home to raise the down payment that they might need for a rental property or a vacation property. Some are doing consolidation loans, but not very many. You would think that there would be more of those coming our way with what's happened in the last, year and a half. But I haven't seen many refinancing for consolidation purposes. The bank will look at those, of course, up to 75%, maybe 80% of the value of somebody's property. But again, depending on the community, we can stretch that to 80%.
Cool. The question that seems to be on everyone's mind, what do you see interest rates doing?
Oh, yes, I love this one. Well, I'm not an economist. I've been banking for a lot of years, 25. And I think even the economists today would be stumped with that question. What we've seen even in the last month is, because that's all I can really go over with you, is where have we been? I don't want to be tackling that question about where are we going. But where have we been? Even a month ago, you could have gotten a 5-year fixed rate at 1.5-ish. you could have received about 1.5 or even 1.3 on a variable. I meant to say 1.3, 1.4-ish on a variable. Well, now fast forward a month, we've actually seen, at least at TD, a couple of small increases in the rates. And now a 5-year fix is closer to 2%, but the variable didn't change. So to answer your question, a month ago, people were jumping on the 5-year fixed bandwagon for sure at 149, 159, 169. But now they're at 209 even for a 5-year fixed. And the variable hasn't changed. The prime rate hasn't changed. So if you were looking at a variable rate based on prime, which is 2.45 right now, you could get prime minus 1, prime minus 1.1 to arrive at that same effective rate of about 1.4% for a variable. So now the gap is widened. So now that becomes a little more attractive.
Okay, so
the spring market generally brings, the competition out, all of the banks trying to outdo the other. So I'm hoping that even though we've seen 2 recent small increases on the 5 and the 3 and maybe the 4-year fixed, that maybe come April, we'll see them come back down a little bit. But again, it's really tough to say right now what's going to happen.
Okay. So I guess, is there a trend that people are going towards more variable or fixed mortgages, or is it, what do you see in there?
Yeah, well, again, I think, there are still people, because let's face it, 2% for 5 years fixed wasn't available about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It went right through 2 and all the way down to about 1.5, and now it's back to 2. Well, 2 is still a phenomenal rate for a 5-year fix. So I still see that trend continuing, that people will opt to taking that 2% 5-year fixed money. The 3 and the 4-year rates are a little bit below, which, again, about a month ago, the 3 and the 4 and the 5-year rates were about the same. The recent increases were really targeted more so on the 5-year fixed.
Okay.
They all went up. The 3 went up, the 4-year went up, and the 5-year went up, but the 5-year went up more. So now it's kind of like how it normally is, the 1 year, the 2 year, and then the 3, 4, 5, just gradually higher. But the variable at 1.5 or even lower than 1.5 is going to attract some buyers for sure.
Cool. That's definitely some good info regarding the interest rates. And then, with COVID kind of still where we're at, are there any unique ways that the mortgage specialists like yourself can partner with our realtors to add value to their clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really difficult, obviously, to meet face to face. I'm not sure what the current rules are exactly. I'm not meeting anybody face to face, but certainly there is what we're doing today, just via a video call. And of course, there's the old-fashioned thing called the telephone, cellular phones, that we can obviously talk. We're here to support you, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to do, even smaller group, info sessions if I could initiate that, or if there were a group of realtors that wanted, some information. There's nothing really new that's going on in the mortgage world lately. That is, stuff that they might want to brush up on. It's been a while since someone's made a rule change that we've had to address, which is thankful. But again, happy to do. Obviously, I see some realtors doing virtual open houses, or I've even seen some doing a virtual home buying seminar, whether that's something that they tackle themselves just from their home office as a very short segment on the market. Maybe there's an opportunity for one of the TD mortgage specialists that are attached to CIR, attached to your specific office, to put together even something that is also pre-recorded just on the mortgage business. And that could be attached to or tethered to the realtor's virtual segment, whatever it is that they're putting together.
Cool. That's some great ideas. We'll definitely pass that along to our realtors. Is there anything special that the realtor should be telling their clients when they're getting, going for getting pre-approved for their clients?
Yeah, I think the best is, I know a lot of realtors are always doing that, meaning in their best practices, they want to see either a letter or have some conversation with the mortgage person that the person is pre-approved. I'm seeing them more and more that they're looking for letters, which is great. So I know all of your realtors know that, so I don't have to coach that part of it. But be patient, I guess. Right now with the busy market that we're having, our bank in particular anyways, is having a difficult time just hiring enough underwriters to get through the credit applications that we have. Our pre-approvals are taking that much longer because of the volumes that we have going on right now. So, and that leads me to, you know, the condition of financing date. We're kind of back to that 10-day opportunity again, where, you know, there were times, I remember this market in Calgary about what 2014 or 15, it was pretty active. I think just before some of the oil news was coming at us, but it was a pretty busy market, and we had some realtors that were, you know, looking for quick approvals, and of course, if we needed a quick approval, that also made their offer look attractive.
Yeah. So
if you have to, you know, put in 5 days, but I'm going to suggest that 10 days is better on the condition of financing date on an actual deal. But again, pre-approvals, you know, get your client in front of someone. Obviously, anybody at TD would be happy to take on any of the opportunities that come our way, even if it's a second opinion. Hey, I know you're dealing with somebody at the Royal Bank or at whatever XYZ mortgage broker company, but at CIR, we do have some TD specialists. If you would like, I can have Albert, Jesse, Mario, Jen, and I can't remember the other 2 or 3 names, contact you. That's of course a nice approach. I know the mortgage business as well as the realtor business, we like to give a couple of names when we are referring out business. So that's just a nice soft opportunity there for you to say, you know, is it okay if I have someone call you or share your details with, however that might go. Yeah. So other than that, you know, the documentation requirements that a pre-approval would require normally, that hasn't changed. We're not necessarily sending in all those documents. So once we have our conversation with the customer, we can sometimes submit an application without any documentation. And of course, just tell the customer that your approval is good as long as all of these documents can be provided. We don't like doing that because, of course, that then creates surprises. Oh, I see. But you know what I mean? So as long as we are receiving those documents at some point, you know, we'll be fine. And again, especially in the market that we're in, we're just wanting to get those pre-approvals in as quickly as we can so that we can get the customers an answer. But those are, I mean, for the more difficult ones, those are, you know, more than a week to even return those answers to a customer.
No, awesome.
I hope that helps.
No, that definitely helps. And I guess one other probably thing to keep in mind would be it's tax season. So make sure everyone gets their current taxes filed and ready for you guys.
Yes. Yeah, that's another good one for sure. I mean, obviously we're at that time of year right now that people are just filing their taxes, so maybe they don't have to pay them just yet. So it's a nice little window for them. But yeah, typically our rule is, especially on self-employed individuals, because we're always asking for their notice of assessments for self-employed, whereas we won't necessarily ask that from a salaried individual. But when we're asking for, we're going to be looking at that. Are their taxes paid? And if they're not, they have to prove that they are before we can approve the mortgage. But yeah, that's another good a good tip.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, Albert. If any
you're very welcome.
Realtors need some, reach out to our TD mortgage specialists at your office. Thanks again.
Awesome.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.